So as we know, today we're celebrating the 4th of July. Right? There's going to be fireworks going off, all kinds of stuff. We want to celebrate the birth of a nation that was very unique 250 years ago.
That said that human dignity and certain inalienable rights should be given, well, at least to some humans. But it was a concept that wasn't there before. And that's amazing. And we need to grow from that. We need to mature. And so we will, and we keep doing it. And that's what we keep doing. So the opening words of the Declaration of Independence say, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So even within the founding fathers, first of all, there were no mothers, there were founding fathers, there was that initial idea when it said, and it could have said, we, the people that are in this room, or the people who know better. It said we the people. It wasn't even we, the different colonies, right? It was we the people, knowing that this is a new thing, to have people rule, people have conversation, people work things out to make it happen. And even within that group, there were some that knew better than others. They were learning as they were going along with this. And that's what you're all doing on your spiritual journey. You're learning as you're going along with this. You come in with certain concepts. You think, I think the hardest thing that we can ever have in our lives is that idea that I know. I know what I believe. I know what God is. I know what I have to do. I know. That is the greatest mistake we can have. We don't know. Even with our greatest scientific things, we're finding out more things than ever. It is always about exploring. I don't know. I hold fast to something like love, goodness, those kind of concepts, but I don't know about everything else. And let me question. Let me inquire. Let me be curious. Let me take an adventure. Let me find out. Because what we work towards here in coming to this fellowship and those ideas is to have that direct experience. I want to feel the divine. I want to feel grace. I want to know that presence of certainty and peace that will stand with me and walk with me no matter what. We're not here to fix the world. We're here to be able to have that peace of mind no matter what. We're here to know that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Because these words changed history of the whole world. Right? So today I'm going to ask you another question. What if the greatest Declaration of Independence is not what one nation makes, but what each soul makes? Each one of us. There's an outer freedom and there is an inner freedom. A nation can be politically free while its people remain imprisoned in fear. A person can live in a free country yet remain captive to resentment, addiction, shame, prejudice, anxiety, or the endless need of approval, right? So today we're going to give birth to those both outer and inner freedoms. Inner freedom manifests itself when we no longer march to the beat of the drum, like we heard in our Declaration of Intent, but instead to that quiet rhythm of the divine within. We check in first. Check in before we go out. In the Hebrew scriptures, Elijah did not encounter God in the wind or in the earthquake or the fire. Instead, God came to him in a still, small voice. We look like we want the big burning bush, but really it's a still, small voice that's here for us. And how often do we make the mistake of the loudest voice being the truest one? Our culture constantly tells us who we should become. Advertising, right, tells us we're incomplete. Politics tell us to fear one way or the other. It's always about fear. Social media tells us who to envy. Because some people say social media is just shopping for pain. Scrolling along. Sorry about those of you that are home and online. Old wounds tell us we aren't enough. But beneath all that noise is still that small voice of spirit. The voice that patiently waits for us. Today we acknowledge that still small voice in our higher self as we look for the courage to break the chains that bind us. So, Buddha spoke of liberation from attachments, right? Let go. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's how we get free. In the Quran, that reminds us that Allah is closer than the jugular vein. Closer than that. More important than that. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that to act from our deepest self rather than from fear or the ego. Every tradition points in the same direction. That freedom begins within each one of us. So in our words of wisdom, when we hear that writing from Thomas Jefferson, when he talks about laws and institutions must go hand in hand with the progress of the human mind, he says, perhaps this is true not only for governments, but also for our own inner lives. And that's what I thought of when I put it in there. And also, us as working in this concept of interspirituality, we look to that first element of having that moral capacity as our barometer. That each one of us, you can't go on your own spiritual path without some sort of moral capacity, some moral direction, compass in there. Sometimes we keep living by old inner constitutions, rules written by frightened versions of ourselves, right? So we have to look at that and see, am I going by that old compass or should I follow the new compass? They might be messages written by your parents, your teachers, your bullies. Bullies wrote messages to us. Past failures, old religions that emphasizes fear over love. Those inner laws may have once helped us to survive, but they no longer help us to live. Spirit constantly invites us to revise the constitution of our own soul. Not abandoning the truth, but growing into a greater truth. Not rejecting the past, but refusing to be imprisoned by it. The Apostle Paul, in the New Testament, in Christian book, he wrote, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Notice he doesn't say, where there is perfect doctrine, where everyone agrees, where everyone behaves correctly. He says, where spirit is, there is freedom. In our next words of wisdom, Charlie Lutz, he speaks deeply to our time. Many people spend enormous energy trying to appear good, trying to look spiritual, right? Trying to say the right things, trying to earn worthiness. But genuine spirituality, it's not a performance. It's presence. You know when someone is really present with you, loving you, here, right now for you. Real goodness grows naturally from an awakened heart. A healthy tree does not struggle to produce fruit. It simply remains rooted. And from staying rooted, it gets all the nourishment it needs. When we become rooted in divine presence, compassion naturally blooms in us. Forgiveness blooms, wisdom blooms, generosity blooms. It's not forced. They all just flow. This is why the mystics across the traditions always emphasize transformation over conformity. Transformation over conformity. Not changing our mask, but changing our consciousness. You see that too. Those are Russian scholars that did our next words of wisdom in there. And they say something really interesting. They call it a unique identity. Spirit doesn't make us all identical. Right? Spirit makes us authentic. The oak doesn't make the maple tree. The rose doesn't complete the sunflower. Every soul carries a unique expression of the divine. So real freedom is becoming who you are, who you were created to be, instead of who fear told you to become. The Declaration of Independence announced freedom from external domination, but spiritual awakening declares independence from internal domination. Those old voices. Today, perhaps we can make our own declaration. How about that? You want to try some of your own declarations? Let's try this. Repeat after me. I declare my independence from fear.
I declare my independence from fear.
I declare my independence from resentment.
I declare my independence from resentment.
Be careful, you have to mean it. I declare my independence from believing I am too old or too young.
I declare my independence from believing I am too old or too young.
I declare my independence from comparing myself to others.
I declare my independence from comparing myself to others.
I declare my independence from the voice that says I'm not enough.
I declare my independence from the voice that says I'm not enough.
I declare my independence only upon the love that created me.
I declare
My dependence only upon the love that created me. Let's try that one again. I declare my dependence only upon the love that created me. My dependence only upon the love that created me. Okay, so then we move on to the next words of wisdom, which brings us to our next challenge before humanity today, that Eckhart Tolle brings us to. History shows us this truth, that humanity is faced with that stark choice, right? To evolve or die. And that's what we need to do individually. Will I evolve or slowly just fade away? It's a low, slow, sad death to fade away like that. And the choice is to evolve, to challenge, to think. And history tells us these things. He says we will always end up recreating the same world, the same evils, the same dysfunction if we don't change. Our consciousness, the way we think, the way we look at the world, it needs to change. History tells us this truth. What happens? Wars end, what happens? New wars begin somewhere else. Empires fall, what happens? Another one rises up. Technology advances, but unless consciousness evolves, suffering simply just changes costumes. This looks differently, right? The greatest revolution, it's not political, it's spiritual. The founders of this nation believed liberty required virtue. Mystics of every religion believed virtue required awakening. Perhaps both are right. Outer liberty depends upon inner freedom. A nation reflects the consciousness of its people. Peace treaties cannot substitute for peaceful hearts. Justice cannot flourish where compassion has died. Freedom cannot survive without a conscience. We shall gather as we come together in this sacred community. We practice something very revolutionary. You are all founding mothers and fathers. Because you come from different beliefs, you come from different backgrounds, you come from different political opinions, you come from different life stories, and yet we sit together here in peace, love, and light. Not because we think alike, or we dress alike, or whatever, but because we recognize something deeper about our differences. The light within one another. We focus on the light. This may be one of the greatest acts of patriotism available for all of us. the greatest act is to focus on that light. Not merely loving our own group, but learning to love the whole human family. This is true spiritual independence. True spiritual independence. So, today, when you see all those fireworks going off and illuminating the night sky, may another light awaken within us. May we know we are truly free when we let go and let life flow. May we know we are truly free when our inner moral compass is finely tuned, not by fear, by love. May we know we are truly free when our hearts remain open to every person that we encounter. Be curious. Find out. How are you? Let me hear you. Let me sit here and be present with you. Instead of bombarding you with this or that or complaints or all about whatever you think you need to say. Be present. Let them come out. May we know we are truly free when we welcome divine presence of love and light here, now, and always. Today, in the Course of Miracles has 365 lessons for each day of the year, and it happens to be on this day. The lesson in that book says, I want the peace of God. And it says, to say this is one thing, but to mean it is everything. True freedom is when we can say this and mean it. And then we can declare our independence. Then we can be truly free. A declaration says, I am no longer governed by fear. I will no longer be ruled by hatred. I will no longer surrender my soul to division, to separation. I choose love. I choose truth. I choose compassion. We are in the season of compassion. Choose it. Express it. Be it. Say, I choose freedom that no government can grant and no circumstance can take away. But what we want to continue to live out what our founding fathers said, that we are created in the image of this divinity, of this love, of this light. And because of that, we hold these truths to be self-evident. That we are free when we choose to be. We are free when we let the divine lead the way. No matter what word you use to call it. It's here. It's now. It's for you. This is freedom of spirit. This freedom belongs to every child, every person alive. This freedom belongs to you today and always. So happy Independence Day. And so it is.